I know this video is titled How Do I Do It All, but to be honest, I feel like it's more dedicated to women who are working, who are in demanding careers, and that they're also looking to do more than that, to have an extra, either a business or a side hustle or an organization or something like that, that they want to be really involved. And I hope that, with what I handle and like the examples or like how I manage to do everything, I can help you do that as well. Because with an engineering background, we know that engineering is challenging. It comes with responsibility, and to be honest, I'm really proud to be an engineer, but I also like to do a lot of other things, and I've managed to grow an organization besides from that. So today we're gonna cover how I handle all the things that I handle. Before we start, I want to go over some of the things that I am responsible for or that are part of my life, and then move into how I handle them. Before I start, I do want to point out that I am working on creating another video of like the 5, 7, maybe 10 apps that I use that make me do my life easier, that make this process easier, and I'm gonna touch on prioritizing how these apps can also help me with that. So that's coming up, keep an eye out. I have a couple of videos coming in December, so I don't know what order they're gonna come in. So anyways, yeah, so before we start, so some of the things I do. So I'm a full-time engineer. I've been out of school for about 2 years and a half, been working for 3. So I have my job as an engineer full-time, and I also, it's a 30-minute drive, so it's like an hour commute daily. Then we have Latina Engineer, which is where it gets complicated because it's part of, it's an Etsy shop, a YouTube channel. I have the conference, the annual conference, which takes a lot of planning. We plan from about February all the way to October, almost November, and that whole time, especially the last 2-3 months, are really heavy on, I'm literally just working on that. And then you have Instagram, which I also do partnerships, so I sometimes have those contracts, and then I have LinkedIn, and I have Facebook, and I have all these different branches, the newsletter, and so it is a lot that it gets divided. And I honestly shift my priorities as I go through like different stages in the year, or like what I'm interested in growing the most. So that can get to take all my evenings, if I have 4 or 5 hours free from just living, doing my bare necessities and going to work, then that's usually where I put my time. And then I get having a house. We have a house. We've been here for 8 months, so the past 8 months we've been working on making this our home, and having a partner and sharing those responsibilities, because we go half and half. So at the same time, I want to give just as much as want to contribute just as much. So I try to contribute just as much, which comes with also sharing responsibilities, doing half and half. I cook and then he washes the dishes, or like I do the laundry and he vacuums and things like that. And this is where I'm gonna get to prioritizing, seeing the things that you can do and the things that you can manage, like send to someone else, delegate it to something else, to like automate it or things like that. And the other thing is also mainly having a partner that supports you and that understands that you have big plans and you have a lot of things you want to do. So let's start with prioritizing, which is, this is I guess one of the things, because I'm not super good at managing my time, but I managed to find out how can I help myself get everything I want to do. So the first one is finding out, what's important to me, what can I do, what I'm not willing to do. So for example, cooking. I want to cook because I don't like eating out all the time. Neither do I have someone that can cook for me, and my husband doesn't cook. So how can I make this feasible, but at the same time not cook? Because like the reality is, like, you can say you can, and then if you're not going to, you're just buying food, wasting it, and then you still don't have anything to eat. So I found out kind of like when I can and when I cannot. So for example, when it's really, really busy, like let's say it's the month of my conference, I know I'm not gonna cook for like that week or those 2 weeks. And actually my partner like completely understands, and I'll get to that whole partner stuff in a bit. But so we know, and we buy groceries according to how our week is gonna look like. So if I know I'm not gonna have a lot of time to cook, I buy either frozen meals or things that are super easy to make or that we can just throw in the oven. Or I plan and be like, hey mom, can you help me? Because we actually moved here closer to my mom, so I could have that also, that support where, I can't cook this week. Can I, outsource it? So like, hey mom, I'm gonna pay for these meals. Can you make us food these 3 days or just today or things like that. So that also helps me out a lot, and I know a lot of people may not have that like as an option, but at least to me I found that I could do that when it's when I know there's gonna be time and I can spend that money instead of spending my time. Other thing is like I know which days I can, and the rest of the days we either save, we make the budget to buy food during those days or have something that's really easy like a pizza that we just throw in the oven. Those are some of the things. Other things that you can also look at, and this is where I'm gonna get into like my apps, is like for example groceries. I don't have time to go a whole hour look at groceries when I know pretty much what I need, because I'm usually pretty repetitive, or like I know my meals and I know what I need. So I go and I just pick them up. I don't spend the time making it. Like I don't do it every single week, but the weeks that I know I don't need anything specific, or I'm not just kind of like no idea, I just order it and then I just go stop by and I get my groceries to my car. So it's just like I already saved an hour, and it's pretty cool because the app actually tells you you just saved this many hours by shopping online or whatever. So that is one thing that I do resources. So like for example, find the things that you can outsource that way, whether it is laundry, where it is cleaning. Like for example, I would love to have someone that would come and clean for us. Right now we're fine. We are able to manage to like spend let's say half of a Saturday cleaning or like a couple hours. There's no problem. But when it's really busy, if you have the budget, or if because I honestly haven't even looked at it, but can we have someone that can come and clean once a month, or once a week, depending on the budget or the pricing and stuff like that, or if you have the time or not. Is there something I want to delegate and rather spend money or spend time, or is it valuable enough that doing something during that time is going to create more than me spending time cleaning or me spending time doing something else. So those are some of the things that I will looking at for how can I prioritize my time, what's more important to me, what's not. And then we get to the partnership, finding someone that knows how and understands and supports how busy you're gonna be. And I had an interview recently where they asked me, about, and when I have a chance, I try to point it out, like how important a partner that knows, or that is on the same page, or that's gonna show you that support when you need to. So in my case, I feel like I was able to find that person where if I am spending the whole week, or let's say a few days a week, completely focused on something else besides from work, let's say Latina engineer, recording this video right now, they know that that is my other thing that I like to do. I have my job, and then I like to spend a couple hours working on Latina engineer, recording a video, creating a reel, etc. And they've always been really supportive. When I have asked, he has reviewed some of the content. I try not to do it because it just doesn't work out very well for us. But if I need someone to take pictures of me, he will. If I had the conference, he drove out there with me, helped me the whole day. So to me, is that also finding that as women with careers, either going to college or now working, being young professionals, or like starting having kids, we need to have that support, because we are doing just as much as our partners by having a full-time job. We having dual career couples, so we're doing just as much as the work. So when we're tired, sometimes when I get home and like we're tired, we're both just as tired because we both just work the same amount of hours, and we both have career or like jobs where we have the same level of education, and we're both kind of like growing kind of like together. There are differences, of course, but so we feel like we're contributed the same. And then it comes where I have extra stuff, so like I am tired, but like we have these other things to do. And I've always felt like if I did not, if my husband wasn't the way he is, I would not be able to do as much. I would not be able to feel comfortable. I would not have as much motivation or feel confident to do these things, because I have someone at home being like, you're not paying attention to me to be doing this, or you're not cleaning the house to be because you have the teen engineer, or you're not cooking because you have the conference. So to me, it is finding the person that aligns to what your plans are and your goals are. And I know this will also come again, especially once I have kids. How are we sharing this partnership, or like this parenting actually? Is it going to be equal? How can we divide it? Because I have a lot going on, and I like to stay that way. I like to keep growing this organization, and I would not be able to do it alone. So that other support system also comes into play a lot, because let's jump into a scenario where I start to have kids, we start to grow the family. I have my husband, which I know he's going to be sharing those responsibilities with me, and I'm not gonna be, feeling like, okay, all the weight is on me. And I also made sure to be surrounded by a support system. So I live only 5 to 10 minutes away from my mom, and I know that she's gonna help me out with that as well. So to me, that was kind of like the priorities. I want to move close so where I can have my support system close, because I have a lot going on in my life, and that's literally what lifts me up as I'm getting overloaded. uh, I also recommend that you know what is your limit or what you can do. For me, I had to figure out which days specifically I could take calls, which days I could work on this, which days I could work on the shop, how many times. So I started creating a schedule, and to be honest, it was hard. It was just the hard way that I found out how much I could do. So eventually I figured out I only want to take calls on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and it has to be after work. If it's during my work time, there's no negotiation, and I have to be really firm, because that is the time where I am working, and I am working to cover my needs. That at the end of the day, that's still what pays the bills, in my life. So, and I've had it when people don't respect that time, where people outside of my support system or my friends, where people, want to do a podcast, or, they want to interview you for something else, they want to do a collaboration or whatever, and they really don't respect those boundaries or those times. They're pushing for like, it has to be on a weekend, or, it has to be during this time, or they even don't respect that you might have a longer, like, I don't want to call it lead time, but like you have a wait time to be able to meet to those, like, to schedule another appointment, because you're setting a limit to how many you can do a week, how many you can do a month, and things like that, but depending on your schedule and your flexibility. And I have to learn that that is more, like, to me, it's really important to stand up for, this is how many calls I want to take, because if not, I get overloaded, and that is how much. And if you don't like it, that is too bad, because I am not gonna flex. I'm not gonna like move around things, or like overload myself when I don't need to, unless it's something that really, really interests me. I've been trying to get in, I've been trying to apply, or something like that. Then I'm willing to put that extra work. But when it is something that is just, and especially with the attitudes where sometimes they just don't understand why you have a specific timeline that they have to wait, or things like that, then it gets to, well, you're not valuing my time. So throughout this whole process, I have learned to value as well. And then jumping back to my schedule, so I know I have those 2 days, and I try to keep them close to those 2 days. I'm flexible moving them, maybe instead of a Tuesday, maybe to a Monday, or instead of a Thursday to a Friday or Wednesday, things like that. Then I have one day that I usually spend on the shop. So I try to batch my orders, so that I'm not every day doing like one sweater, or every day doing one thing, and instead, just waiting on them, so that I can focus that time to work on those and like ship all together, because that is what works for me. Because honestly, every day I'm doing something different, doing, and it gets really complicated when you're trying to run all these things at once. So that is kind of what I do. The weekend, I used to do some work during the weekend, and I still do, like, but it's more of like work on my own, answering emails, or like creating content, things that are flexible for me, that I can say no, I don't feel like it, because it's the weekend and I've been working all week. I can reschedule, or I can push this to Monday, or things like that. And before, I used to still kind of schedule some things, and now if it's like a call or something, I really try not to. And then I try to focus that time to being at home, being with Philip, with my dog, being with my husband, with my family, my mom, and just kind of relaxing, because if I am always work, 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 I can't get it done. Okay, and the last thing I want to share before this gets too long is that how to keep track of everything that goes on. And I have tried multiple things. I have this like calendars and boards on my wall, and to be honest, they haven't been very useful. This is probably like 2 or 3 months outdated, so I kind of just try things and then they don't work. I still use them every now and then, but then it's just hard for me to come and look at this every day. So keeping a place where you have everything. So for me, my phone has, and I try to make everything so that I can access from anywhere, because I'm always on the go, and I'm always, I might always need some information. So for me, it's having everything um available at whatever time. So whether it's on my computer or on my phone, I got a tablet just so I could have that flexibility in between having either my phone is too small or my computer, I can't take it with me. Then I went and got a tablet. And I'm not telling you to get a tablet. I'm saying I went and like I looked what I needed, and I got that because it was worth it for me. Other thing is like and this is what I'm doing now, which might change later, is that I keep one notebook, and actually I try to keep it separate. So I try to keep my work, and I try to keep Latina engineer, and I try to keep my life separate, and it was just not working out because sometimes like a really quick thought would come and I would not have where to write it where I wouldn't lose it. And I don't like keeping just random notes in my phone because I just don't look at them again. I got one notebook. The front part of it, it's my work. Like, it's just like a to-do list. It's not really like my work, it's just like what I need to do for that day, that week, things like that. So it's like my brain dump for work. Then halfway through the notebook I switch it out, and then it's Latina engineer or like anything related to that, the conference. It's just, again, my brain dump. I can always just, I have always a notebook with me, so I can always flip to the middle of the notebook and write whatever thing I have on my mind down, and then I can look at it later. So it's something that always comes with me. And then at the end of the book, I have anything that has to do with home, with my wedding, and things like that. If something comes to mind again, I can just flip to the back of the notebook and just write it down. And it's really tiny. It's about this big, a notebook. And I just found that that has been the easiest thing for me because it's just, you know, 3 different sections, 3 different to-do lists, or 3 different notes. And no matter where I am, it's small enough where I can take it into my purse and always have it with me. I'm not scrolling through like my phone trying to find the specific note. I know which section it is, and I can just look at it, and it reminds me of things that random thoughts, random ideas for like reels or videos, or if I needed to buy something for work. It keeps me track of like, did I finish this project? Yes, I can cross it out. What's next? If I'm in a meeting, I can write down my notes as well. And then home, if anything, like I remember I need salt or I need something else, I can also write it there. So it's all like in one thing. And I just found out that I just couldn't keep it separate. It's all part of my life. So I have it all together, but I have it organized into that one place that I have it. So I would recommend to looking into that. Again, this might change later. I tried to do my tablet for a while, and it was just not easy because I don't have access to my tablet all the time. Like, I don't use my tablet when I'm at work, and sometimes I just need to write like one word before like I forget the idea, and this way I can just write it and move on with my life. And then later when I'm ready, I can go and look at it again. So I would recommend that. And I will also recommend to look at the video that I'm doing after this, which is the apps that I really need in my life in order to keep myself organized, and to also just like make it things easier that don't need my like undivided attention. I can just rely on these and make me keep track of everything. Because, for example, all the appointments that I have, if they're not in my calendar, I just don't see them. They just don't exist to me, and I will miss them. So always having a place for everything, and just setting reminders for myself so that I know, like, I won't remember that I have a meeting next week, but my phone will have a set reminder for that, and it will make sure I know. And that's literally what pushes me to be where I need to be most of the time. And the last thing before I really finish this is that to automate the things that you don't need, let's say your bills or anything like that, something that you can do either monthly or that has to be yearly or things like that. I just set that reminder, and I know that next year it's going to remind me, or next month is going to remind me, or next week is going to remind me. So if I can automate something, I will just do it so that somebody else, or like let's say my phone, is in charge of reminding me of that, rather than me keeping all this information in my head and just forgetting about it, or being overloaded, or not being able to remember. So anyways, if you like this video, let me know. Watch the next one that will probably come in the next week or so. I will talk about those apps that help me automate these things and remind myself and just keep an organization with everything that happens. And yeah, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!